Welcome to the Filmcast review of Dead Man's Wire. I'm going to read the plot summary of this movie from IMDb. On February 8th, 1977, Tony Kuritzis entered the office of Richard Hall, president of the Meridian Mortgage Company, and took him hostage with a sawed-off shotgun wired with a dead man's wire from the trigger to Tony's own neck, end quote. That is the whole plot summary. And that is basically what happens during the course of this film.
It's the whole movie.
Now, before we get into this, did any of us actually had heard of this story before today?
No.
I had not heard of it, right? So
Speaking as the only one of us that was alive when this happened, no.
Okay. So that said, we will hold off on spoilers for the situation until the spoiler section of this review. But Devindra, overall thoughts on Dead Man's Wire?
Oh yeah, this movie rips. It's very reminiscent of Dog Day Afternoon, which is one of my favorite like 70s dramas and thrillers. Pacino's in this too. I did not realize that either.
Is he okay?
Is he? I mean,
I'm
he's
worried
just
that
old,
he's not okay based on how he looks in this movie.
He's just old. I don't know what they're doing here. Hey, Carrie Elwes is in this movie, also being like, I did not realize you were going to be in this. I think this is a phenomenal thriller that has like a really poignant message. Hey, we all hate the banking industry, and this is very similar to to Dog Day Afternoon. This is a movie where the crowd ends up rooting for the guy doing the criminal act, and you can kind of understand why, because we live in this bullshit system that lets bankers and banks act with impunity and harm regular people, and we feel that tension. And this is the era when CEOs are packing extra security because they're worried about people being mad about them being too rich. It seems like a movie that meets the moment. Bill Skarsgård is quite great, and this is I've not seen Gus Van Sant's like recent films, but this feels energetic. This feels like he has transported himself back to the 70s, making a movie that feels like it's like just from that era. It feels so authentic. Also really dig Coleman Domingo and Myha'la in this as well. Myha'la from Industry. She doesn't get much to do, but she is fantastic in general.
All right, Devindra's a huge fan of Dead Man's Wire. Jeff Kanata, your thoughts on the film?
Well, Dave, I guess you could say my thoughts on Dead Man's Wire are best summed up in the form of a limerick.
All right, let's hear it, Jeff.
The 70s were an odd time. They offered kidnappers airtime. The film is compelling, but the story it's telling is history's stupidest crime.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I wish I felt...
There have been dumber crimes. Come on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
This is pretty dumb. I think this is... So I agree with half of what Devindra said and disagree with the other half. The half that I agree with
Jeff
is...
loves banks. They've done nothing wrong.
No, I just don't think the movie makes the point you're saying it makes. I wish it did. I kept wanting it to, but I don't think the historical moment, the thing that Kuritzis actually did, or this movie does that. But I do think the movie is well made, and Gus Van Sant can direct the hell out of a movie, and it really does have that 70s style, that vibe, that kind of filmmaking that you're talking about with Dog Day Afternoon and The Conversation and like those old 70s thrillers. It really digs into that aesthetically, and I think it works. And it's neat how the movie sort of dips into some documentary footage and sort of faux documentary footage that is I think really cool and kind of grounds it in this reality, really leans into, hey, this is based on true events. That said, I kept wanting it to sort of be the falling down or, be the speak truth to power kind of movie that it sounds like you saw. I never saw that. I think the details of his gripe with the mortgage company are so muddled and frankly crazy that it just doesn't land. And the movie ends with a wait, what for me that, not knowing the truth of this story that just gets yada, yada, yada at the end, but feels pretty important to the veracity of what's going on or the way that it lands for me. And we can get into that in spoilers, but I think the performances here are great. I think the filmmaking is great. I just kept going like, what am I supposed to take away from this? Because I don't think it's what you want me to take away from it movie. It's not, And if you look at I did a bunch of reading about the actual event because it's fascinating that this happened. Because literally everybody involved does the dumbest thing they could do at any given time, right? The authorities are stupid. The guy is stupid. Everybody is just not doing the smartest thing here, in my opinion. And so you kind of walk out of this going, what? Did that all really happen? So I came home and did a lot of reading about it. One of the funny things about this movie is there is no attempt on the filmmakers' part to make anyone look like they actually did in history, which is fine. You don't have to.
Right,
Bill Skarsgård doesn't look anything like this dude.
Yeah.
But he's like, he's also like putting.
He has an affect. He's putting on
he's
this
like putting on
affect.
a character. He's like got this mustache, which the guy didn't have, and like he's a giant, and the guy was like this short, squat little dude. Like it's very odd that
we want to see Bill Skarsgård with a big bald spot. That's what we want to see. Yeah.
Well, there seems to be an attempt to do something, but it just isn't creating the reality of what happened, which is very odd. Yeah. It's an odd choice. It's fine, but it's an odd choice to me. And the sort of final big moment of this movie is done almost word for word, and you can watch the whole thing, which I did on YouTube. That's 23-minute thing that happens at the end of this movie that you can watch in full, the real thing that happened. And it's wild how they like attempted to do it realistically, but also not realistically at all. It's just a strange thing to me, to my mind. But ultimately, I think where this movie fails is that for me, it isn't a kind of little guy against the big, corporate monolith thing. It really is just deranged people kind of doing the dumbest thing they could possibly do at any given moment. It's like, what were you thinking, pal? Oh, you weren't.
He's clearly deranged. Like, I'm not saying this guy is mentally sound, but it seems like there's a thin line between normal people just sucking up like how much, the banks ruin our lives, and then some people don't have that line. Some people will be like, oh, you have wronged me. I'm going to take it to this extreme. And a lot of people in the crowd kind of it resonated with them, even if I agree, a lot of it's very stupid. This is not a sound plan at all. Yeah.
I'll share some quick thoughts, and then I think we got to get the spoilers for this one, but I like the movie. I found it to be pretty compelling. I would agree with you, Jeff, that I think the details of what actually went down between these people are very poorly conveyed in the film. And also, I've done some reading about it as well. Like I tried to do a little research before we did this podcast. And as far as I can tell, not many people, at least online, have weighed in on who was actually in the wrong in the original situation. You know what I mean? Like it's not like there's someone clearly in the wrong that is clearly, you can clearly articulate like who was wrong. So
his gripe is kind of bananas, and he kind of doesn't have a leg to stand on, in my opinion, other than the sort of general, like, the big guys are out to get us, it just feels like, but the details of what he's talking about don't really hold weight for me.
Right. Like he has in his mind, Tony Kuritzis has in his mind a version of events in which he got screwed over by this mortgage company. Now, did he actually get screwed over? The film does not make that clear. And then as far as I can tell, like in real life, no one is super authoritative on what actually occurred either about who got screwed over in this equation. Right. And so,
and he's a guy who had a history of having kind of these crazy
flights of fancy, or
feeling very done wrong by, like, he shot at his brother it's not in the movie, but in real life, he like shot at his brother a couple of times because he thought that he was trying to screw him over. It's like, I understand, like, that's the truth, and you're telling a movie that's based on truth. But if the movie's position is trying to kind of make him the David versus Goliath, there are ways to make that land better. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And I think the movie ultimately is uninterested in doing that, or
right.
It either is uninterested or it fails horribly at doing that. So, that's worth noting. So then let's like strip that away. Then like then what's the movie, right? And as I've been thinking about it, it's I think Devindra points out it's about this thin line between the elites and the everyday people. Honestly, I think the biggest comp for this right now is Luigi Mangione. Like I think that is definitely like the biggest comp, where it's like there is this kind of general antipathy.
Right.
There's a reason why Luigi Mangione is celebrated and people are in love with him and whatever. I'm not taking a position on that, but I'm just saying like
specifically
his the details of his situation are more sympathetic to me than Tony Kuritz's.
Fair enough.
Frankly.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
But
I don't
the
think
point
the movie
being
is like as interested in the real thing. I just want to be clear. My thin line is between the people who will take like violent action because of these wrongs and regular people. Because that is, they see their own fears and desires kind of reflected in what these peoples are doing at the extreme.
That's right. That's right. And but I think that what you just said is true in this movie, and also in like the Luigi Mangione thing, where people are like, oh man, like I'd love to like get those guys back somehow.
Everybody hates their insurance agency. Everybody hates their bank.
Right. Everyone hates their bank, and it's like, and there's just this kind of like general antipathy, and it feels like every now and then something like breaks through.
Oh man.
And and this is an example of when it broke through.
I have such a movie in my head to write about like used car salesmen or car dealers and like all the many ways they fuck us over and we just allow this to happen.
Yeah, but yeah, this is like one such example, and people we're just cool with it. Like we are just, as a society, we're just like, that's every now and then.
Well, you can't do anything about it. You can't just take a guy and pin a shotgun to his hand and do injustice. You can't do that. Oh, this guy did that.
The question this movie asks is, what if you can? And I think as a society, we're just like, hey, you know what? We're cool with it. Like people are just going to continue to get screwed over, maybe, depending on what actually happened. But either way, people are willing to accept the risk that some guy's going to show up at your door with a shotgun, and and business, the gears of capitalism will grind on regardless. So, Jeff, even if you strip away any kind of moral David and Goliath thing, I think it's still an interesting examination of that phenomenon in our society.
Sure.
And tells that story relatively well.
I'm surprised there weren't more movies like this around the banking crisis, right? Or like the 2008 financial crisis, where
subprime mortgage
the subprime,
crisis,
there were things like there's margin call and other things, but also it's like there was some serious harms done there, and most of those banks, Lehman died, sure. A lot of them got off scot-free.
No one went to jail. No one went to jail.
Nobody went to jail.
Yeah,
that seems unfair. Yeah.
I think what makes this movie, like the reason they made the movie, right, is probably because of the Dead Man's Wire. That's just a really interesting thing. Like
cool concept.
No one's ever done that. And so it's like, oh wow, what a cool, I'd never even heard of that before I watched the movie. And so it's an irresistible kind of premise for a movie, but the details of the movie make it, I think, less morally forceful than I think it could have been, right?
I think the same was true for Dog Day Afternoon as well. Like you feel for Pacino's character there, but even though like he's also clearly kind of deranged and not a nice person to people around him, but you feel for him. You feel kind of the emphasis of what he's feeling here. He felt also wronged by the banks and wronged by cops and people. There was at least a sentiment that he tapped into there that felt legitimate. So this is a tough thing. Whenever you make a movie about a real life situation, I never expect them to be fully 100% accurate. Are you capturing the vibe? Are you capturing like the emotion of like what was going on there? I think this movie kind of does that in the terms of like, this was also a spectacle. It was a televised spectacle. They brought in news and everything too. And as an exploration of media, that's also kind of fascinating.
I would say it's decent as an exploration of media, right? There's like some interesting dynamics that come into play with like pretty much like, I think a question that the film asks is, does broadcasting an event like this make the event worse, right? Or does it enable the person who is committing the event or perpetrating the event, or is it something that the public needs to see because it's newsworthy and it's remarkable? And that question, I think, is asked very well in the course of the film. I don't think the film has any answers for that question, but
it's kind of a bit of both. You kind of see how Myhala's boss is being driven by like, oh man, this is going to get great ratings. Doesn't matter what we have to pay to the FTC or whatever.
Right.
It's do it to get the eyeballs. I was fascinated by the sort of like parasocial relationship that Tony Kuritzis had with Colvin Domingo's character, Fred Temple. It's very much a podcast thing. I hear this guy on the radio every day.
Yeah.
I agree with his thoughts. He gets us. He gets our view of the world, and he gets to talk to his favorite podcast host as part of this too. Like there's a lot of like modern life reflected in here, at least the beginnings of what kind of how things work today in media. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put this out there. If you are planning to engage in a hostage situation, please do not include us in it. Like, I don't think any of us are equipped to handle it.
I'm available to help.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. All right,
I
folks.
can give some advice. Yeah.
Spoilers for Dead Man's Wire starting right now. Jeff, let's talk about the ending. I mean, first of all, wild that happened in real life. Right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's just so many layers of like, really?
Especially if they plan to just take him down after, like, what? Why even go through with that?
Why? It's just it's such a crazy
broadcast?
farce. And I get it, you're trying to save this dude's life, but like, can't. I mean, the fact that they actually did it, and didn't create some sort of
like
fake
ruse.
version,
Right? Yeah.
It's just to convince him that they did it,
Right,
you know, like, but
right.
that literally people were watching. This award
Can you imagine
ceremony
watching the Oscars and then it's interrupted by this guy? I would be so pissed because you can't like there's no VOD for that. You know, like you can't.
Rewind. 77. You miss it. You miss it.
You missed it. It's over.
Yeah.
You know,
Never comes back.
But
But also,
I would drive from Indianapolis to, the neighboring city or neighboring town or whatever to or state, I should say, to watch the actual Oscars. But anyway,
there's an interesting media reflection there too, because they're co-opting or going over an awards thing where John Wayne is there, and like Kritzis is doing the gunslinger thing, doing like, John Wayne wouldn't stand for this shit. I watched this in movies.
Yeah.
This is what John Wayne would do. Interesting. Just an interesting like reflection of how media has shaped him too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But like him thinking that they were literally going to just let him go at any point, is humorous. He's like, I got them to agree to it. I did it. I
they
did
can't
it.
lie.
And I guess they can just lie to you. Like that's kind of the prosecutor
like,
can just lie to you. Like
the wait what moment to me at the end though was like, and now you've seen the movie, and just FYI, he was acquitted by reasons of insanity. It's like, oh, what? Should we maybe let's dig into that slightly at any point? Movie about
I do see insanity in this film. So
let's and then you find out that he then spent the next 11 years of his life in a psychiatric institution because he refused to take a psychiatric test. Like he would rather just stay incarcerated than take a psychiatric. It's like that. I don't know. Maybe not for you guys, but for me, it undermined everything else we saw, because it's like, you kind of have to, like Coleman Domingo says in the maybe you should start with that shit. It's like let's analyze a little bit of the mental stability of the person. If you're kind of holding him up as this David versus Goliath movie, you can't just sort of be like, and BT Dubs.
I would agree it is underexplored. Like my reading of it, which may or may not be accurate, is the idea is that like the jury was very sympathetic to him.
Yes,
we have no insight in the movie of that.
Yeah. Agreed. But like that's my interpretation. Is like the jury is sympathetic, so they basically acquit him for reasons of insanity. By the way, much harder to be acquitted due to insanity today than it was back then.
Yes.
Also something that is not mentioned in the movie at all, or explored
That's
in
right.
any way.
Also,
so there's a lot of context. I agree that
there's a lot of context. This is a white dude in this situation too. Anybody else, like what? How sympathetic would the jury have been? Like how sympathetic would the public be? There's a lot of things going.
Well, I felt for me that movie, the courtroom movie, is almost more interesting than the movie we saw. In that, like. How does his defense position him? Does he feel comfortable being positioned that way? Like, all of that. It just yada, yada, yada is so much at the end that I walked out a little unsatisfied, frankly.
I will say, though, and I agree with you, Jeff, like, I think those are all valid complaints. I will say that there is one moment in the movie that really seared its way into my memory. Like, when I think about this movie, I'm going to think about this one scene. Okay. And that scene is when they get Al Pacino on the phone.
Yes.
So, I mean, Pacino fucking rules. He worked for like 15 minutes on this movie and never got out of a chair, but he's amazing.
Well, also you gotta film me in Miami. I really got to be in Miami for this one. Yeah.
But the idea, for those who have not seen the film and are still listening to the spoiler section, shame on you, is that the Tony Kuritz's character wants an apology from Al Pacino's character, right? And he's like, hey, let's get Al Pacino on the phone, and if Al Pacino apologizes, I'm gonna let Al Pacino's son go.
Yeah.
Right?
Surely a father would care for his son to just say sorry.
And Al Pacino won't do it. And he's too proud. And he doesn't seem to have any concern about his son's life. And he actually says, if you kill my son, I'm going to be sad about it for a little bit, but I have other sons, I'm going to be fine. And
I'm a banker. I've got other investments. Yeah.
And you in that one moment, you see that son's whole life flash before your eyes. You're like,
great performance.
I understand what that guy's whole life has been like from that one scene, And then
Bill Skarsgård, Tony Kuritzis is just like pure simple. Like, God damn, dude,
that's rough.
I'm
man.
sorry, man. Wow.
I totally agree, but there's definitely an argument to be made that Pacino's character, M.L. Hall, is the only one that acts in a legitimately rational way with this terrorist.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's
not negotiating with the terrorist.
He has a code. He has a code, right? You're right, Jeff. Literally everyone else just tries to give him what he wants, right?
Exactly.
but he's like,
how do you prevent?
They are trying to save a man's life.
Yeah,
How do you prevent more of these things from happening? You behave like fucking Al Pacino does in this movie. That's how you prevent more of these things from happening.
If you give a mouse a cookie, it's going to want a glass of milk.
That's right.
And that is why we don't negotiate with terrorists. Glenn Close, Air Force One. So anyway, but that was an incredible scene. I was not sold on Al Pacino when he started because he has this thick accent. I was like, what is he doing?
I was like, what is he even doing? Did they make him look horrible? Did the real ML Hall look like close to death all the time?
I mean, he's just old,
pretty
man.
rough, Jeff. But
he looks bad in this movie. I'm sorry. I love Al Pacino. I'm concerned. I'm genuinely concerned.
He's 85 years old.
He's 85 years old, Jeff. I think he looks fine.
There's no makeup department?
I think that was the makeup department.
Point being that, so then I was not sold on Al Pacino being in this film, and then he does the phone call scene, and I'm like, holy shit, that scene is incredible.
Yeah.
And can you imagine like summing up a person's life in one phone call? It's an incredible narrative moment, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway,
agreed.
Yeah.
Really well done. It's worth watching this movie just for that scene, I think, especially if you like Pacino and Dog Day Afternoon too. Like, it's very interesting to see that reflection there.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the movie, guys?
I do think it was funny to see Cary Elwes in this movie. The thing is, talk about makeup issues. He's just too handsome. Like, you put 70s hair on him, I'm like, those cheekbones, you're too, I cannot believe you as gritty 70s cop. Sorry, Cary Elwes. Sorry. You were more believable in Saw, where they had no makeup budget, right? So yeah, that's the only thing. I thought this movie was just really well done.
I thought the movie did a great job of conveying things from the son's name is Richard, right? That's the name of the
Richard Hall,
played
by Doc Ray Montgomery.
Yeah. I thought this movie did a great job of like conveying things from his perspective. You see, he's sleeping in the bathtub. He's having nightmares. He's exhausted, right? Like, you just really kind of get into that guy's mindset.
Getting progressively dirtier too. Good job of like dirt and sweat on him.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like terrible by the end of the film, but I like how and in real life, like, the guy struggled with alcohol. Like, you can imagine this event would really scar you, and I think that that is kind of conveyed in the movie.
It did. It ruined his life. Yeah, he wrote a book about it. And the real guy, and he became an alcoholic. It's pretty sad, actually.
I think I agree with you, Jeff, about the issues with the ending with the courtroom stuff. Like, that feels extremely abridged. But I did think that there was an interesting, like, the very, very end was a very kind of interesting note to end on, right? Which is they kind of see each other in a bakery. Their eyes meet in a bakery.
The bakery with the sugar-free muffins.
Sugar-free muffin. And I just thought that was kind of interesting because these two people brought together in this not national, but like statewide media spectacle where presumably thousands of people are invested in this thing, and they're just holed up in this guy's apartment for days, 67 hours or something like that, I think it was. And then later they meet under completely different circumstances, and it's just like, oh, okay, like when the context of how you meet someone is just so important, and they're meeting in this situation that's like very mundane, and but you can go through something like that with someone, this extremely intense thing with someone, and then like later meet them and there's nothing, like you have no words to say to each other, anyway. I don't know, maybe I'm reaching for
this. It's an interesting note. Yeah, sure.
It's an interesting
how would the radio guy know that? I don't know why he's telling us that.
Yeah, that's weird.
That whole bit of the context seems strange.
I don't get that either, but Jeff, any thoughts on the very, very ending, like the final shots of the movie?
Yeah, I don't know, by that point I was just like, what? I'm not down with this. I mean, again, I liked it more than my comments maybe lead you to believe. I think the movie is really well made and it's taught, and I was interested through the whole thing. I just, at the end of it, I was just like, everybody is dumb. Everybody's dumb. I do recommend folks, if you saw this and you were interested in it, watch the actual, you can find it online. It's on YouTube. It's on a number of websites. The full 23 or 28 minute diatribe that he gives in front of the camera, and they really recreated it moment for moment. I mean, obviously we don't spend 23 minutes in the film on it, but like that part where he's like, you read it, fuck you, you don't read it, I read it. I want people to understand what I'm like. All that happens, like it is all. And then when he's like, give me some water, and the guy like awkwardly pours the water into his mouth, all of that is really how it went down. It's just very funny and darkly funny. But it's insane to me that they went live with this guy who is clearly potentially going to blow someone's head off on live television, and is also just profanity laced. Constantly, just like people just sitting in their homes watching John Wayne, and then all of a sudden this crazy person is on TV just spewing profanities. It's like, what? How is that? How did that actually happen? It's crazy.
I do think that one of the things that this movie contributes to society is highlighting that, hey, this extremely wild thing happened. Like this is a thing that happened, and like we should all know that it happened. Because, by the way, there's probably a couple lessons to learn from it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I do want to shout out the writer of this film, Austin Kolodny, apparently longtime Filmcast listener. So,
that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So,
I mean, this movie I think is technically based on a podcast, because there was a podcast version of this with John Hamm.
That's right.
As the Domingo Coleman character.
Yeah. But many, many great aspects to the screenplay. And a lot of gripping moments, and just overall like a really nicely done package, despite the qualms we have with it. So at the end of the day, it is really impressive that Austin Kolodny wrote the script and Gus Van Sant made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.